Field of 68 after dark.
What a day. What else can you say? What a day in college basketball. Sunday, March 22nd edition of Field of 68 After Dark. We're on SiriusXM. We're on YouTube. We're on X. Too wide to start. Rob Doster is in Philly. He'll be joining us very soon as they're wrapping up UConn and UCLA. John Martin, Jeff Goodman here with you tonight. Jeff, they wondered. They asked, is a one seed ever going to lose again? Because this tournament is so chalk. The money gap is so wide. We saw it. It happened tonight. Florida goes down. The reigning champs go down to Iowa. Alvaro Folgueras hits a three-pointer with about 4.5 left, and Iowa advances to its first Sweet 16 since 1999. And by the way, Jeff, we're going to catch up with him a little bit later. This was not a Bennett Stirtz game. This was not he made the play at the end, but this was not Bennett Stirtz just took over and he was the best player on the floor. This was about the other guys on Iowa, which I think made this win that much more surprising.
Shocking. I mean, beyond shocking, because really the others hadn't been that good this year. This was a team carried by Bennett Stirtz for the most part, a guy that could be a lottery pick, a guy that started his career in Division II. With Ben McCollum, went to Drake. They got to the tournament, comes over to Iowa. And, it's this kind of cute little story, but it was going to end tonight, obviously, against Florida, right? Florida's bigs, they had the best front line in the country. They dominate the glass. They dominate the paint. The guards have been better. People were talking about how maybe, they could go back-to-back potentially. And again, this Iowa team didn't have a lot other than Stirtz, especially up front. I saw them maybe a month ago, John, in Iowa City, and they got smacked by Purdue. That was also the site of the famous interview that I did with Braden Smith after the game. But Iowa's bigs played well. Banks was terrific in the first half. They slowed it down, and then they were able to kind of, again, control the bigs for the most part. Condon was good. Hauk was good. Chinyelu was in foul trouble early. But the others really stepped up, and the big key on the glass. It was even on the glass. And if you had told anybody that, they would have said there's zero chance that Iowa's undersized bigs could fight with Florida's huge front line and stay even on the glass. So, but it came down to the end still. Florida took the lead late. Florida took the lead late, John, and I was like, I was done. There's no
they did that a couple of times.
Yeah.
A couple of times. It's like you're just waiting on, the one seed. Eventually, Rob Doster is here with us now. Yeah. Rob, great to see you. We'll get to all that in a bit. I mean, everything that you saw tonight, but you were seeing this, Florida team kind of, as you see, the one starts leaning on the 9, but Iowa just had an answer, Rob, every single time. And I think that was the part that you haven't seen in this tournament, right? You haven't seen it this year. You didn't see it a year ago. And Iowa, again, it's a Big Ten team, underwhelming in some ways, but they answered the bell every time in this game.
Yeah, and what tends to happen in these events, in these games, is the lesser seed, the lower seed, will put up a fight and they'll take the lead and they'll make a run. And then you get these big boys throw the haymaker back, right? And it's a knockout blow. And then you get down by 3, and then you get down by 5, and it feels like it just kind of spirals from there, and it gets in their head, and all of a sudden the game's over. And that didn't happen. To me, that's the most impressive part for Iowa, right? Like, they were up early. I think they were up 10 after that little scrum. And then Florida comes all the way back and has a shot to take the lead at the end of the half. And then in the second half, Iowa builds that lead back out, and they're back up by 10. And Florida comes all the way back. I think it was it 72-70, the lead that they took late in the game? And you feel like that's the kind of moment where Iowa's going to let this thing go, and Iowa's going to let it slip through their grasp. And they fought back, man. And Goodman, you've been calling this. To your credit, I don't like to give you credit. I actually hate giving you credit on anything. But you had Bennett Stirtz pegs, you had Ben McCollum pegs, and it's man, really, really impressive win for Iowa. Who's the tougher thing?
Stirtz didn't even play that well, but you know what he does? Here's what he does. In a game like that, where somebody could get rattled when Florida takes the lead, his composure is incredible. He never gets rattled. I don't think he had a turnover in the game. And he plays 40 minutes every single game and just doesn't make a lot of mistakes. So he controls the tempo, doesn't get flustered. Therefore, I think his teammates see that and they don't get flustered. And incredible. I mean, really incredible, because it's one of the last teams I thought would be able to beat Florida. But I will say this. When I saw the matchup, the only thing I said was like, all right, I just watched Vandy do it a week ago. And you need your bigs to be able to step out, make some plays, obviously take Florida's bigs away from it. I don't actually think, Iowa's bigs did so much of that. Like Banks did a lot of his work in the paint in this one. It was, again, I'm still shocked. I'm still absolutely shocked that Florida, because they played hard. They just couldn't score. They couldn't score.
Well, that's kind of their issue, right? And Goodman, hold on.
Jeff, come on, man. I completely disagree. Come on. Coach McCollum and the boys, they had it rolling today.
They had it rolling, but
Goodman. Put some respect on
nobody. There's no bigger Bennett Stirtz fan than me, and I didn't think they had a shot in hell.
Thanks, Ben. No, look, here's the biggest thing is they won the battle on the glass, and go and look at Bennett Stirtz's turnover column, right? 5 assists, 0 turnovers. So much of what Florida does offensively is get out and transition off a turnover, get out and transition off of a defensive rebound, go and get an offensive rebound. They had 9 offensive rebounds today, and they weren't able to get out and run. And you're right, Goodman. What McCollum can do coaching up a defense and getting a team to make it really difficult to score against you in a half court, that's their superpower. That's what Iowa and Ben McCollum does best. And then you add in the fact that you have a team that is not going to make mistakes, that is going to control the tempo. I'm kind of in shock. Like I did not see this one coming. Like I had that game circled as saying,
other than probably Ben McCollum. I'm not even sure Bennett Stirtz saw it coming. I'm sure, they have confidence in the game plan and all that. But like you look across and you're looking at your bigs and you're looking at those Florida bigs and you're like, holy shit, how the hell are we going to rebound the ball? How are we going to get rebounds? How are we going to keep them off the offensive glass? Right? Like you said, they play a style that, again, can slow Florida down to some extent, but you have to lead early to be able to play that style. Because if you're down 15 points, playing that style does nothing for you. But if you're up and they controlled, I think they were up like 25, 28 minutes of the game, probably more.
Yeah, Iowa was completely the right side in this game. There's no question about that. Bennett Stirtz, again, had the game-winning assist there to Fulgaris there on the 3, which, again, that's game-winning stuff. That's game-winning plays. It's why he's a lottery pick. It's why he's being talked about, as a lottery pick in the NBA draft. We had a chance to catch up with him a little earlier tonight. Let's go to that now.
All right, now pleased to be joined by none other than Bennett Stirtz. And, my man, you're going to the Sweet 16. How does that sound?
Man, it feels pretty good. I mean, we made it to the Sweet 16 Division II level, but there's nothing like this. Just bigger stakes, higher mentality for us, and I thought we wanted it more today, and we just didn't want to lose.
I mean, it was crazy. Like you, Alvaro, hell of a listen. That was unbelievable, man. Come back. Come on. You made the shot. You deserve. You
want to hear a story?
Go ahead.
So we were in the timeout drawing up the play. And this dude, it was for me to try and get downhill. This dude comes up to me after the timeout. We were just getting out of it. He's like, find me. I'm going to be ready. I'm going to hit a shot. And that was just in the back of my mind. I knew they were going to collapse because they've been doing that all game on me. Wide open read, easy read for me.
Like wide open. Gonna make wide open. Were you shocked, Alvaro, how open you were?
It happens really quick. You don't even think how open you are. You just think, making the shot, Yeah. I knew it was they were going to swing with Bennett. It happened like that, and I was the one guy open right there. It was a good pass, an easy one.
Well, he couldn't shoot it. Dude, he couldn't shoot it. He was 0 for 9 from 3. He wasn't
I was 0 for
allowed to
9.
shoot that shot.
I was 0 for 9.
Well, nobody knew that. Nobody knew that.
Oh,
How
I
do you
knew
even
it.
know that?
I knew it. I was looking at the box score. What does this mean for you, Alvaro, in terms of, did you get emotional after this one? I know with everything with your dad and honoring him, was this an emotional win or just kind of jubilant and happy?
I mean, I've been through a lot of things to adapt during this season. It wasn't easy for me, and it's the biggest shot in my career. So I guess the emotional part was there. Absolutely.
All right. Well, listen, appreciate it, man.
Thank you.
Good luck.
All right,
Have a good one.
Thanks for
Go
jumping in.
celebrate.
And again, the Iowa Hawkeyes are going to the Sweet 16 for the first time since 1999. Rob, I'm going to come to you on this one because you're our coach on the show. One of the things that I keep reading about and I keep hearing about is, oh, Todd Golden, he's so innovative, he's so creative, he's going to foul up too. And yet in the biggest games when he had the opportunity to do that, being the national championship last season, and tonight he did not do it. So can we cut this bullshit?
Tried. He said he wanted to.
I mean, in the end, and John Calipari said he tried to foul up 3 in the national championship game. Like, if you try, you do it. You just foul. And I look back at that Boogie Flan effort on that 3. Didn't look like a guy that was trying to foul to me. No. So I think we need to stop saying that Todd Golden will foul up 2. He will not do it. He has not done it in the most high leverage spots. So it would have been the smart thing.
John, he's also like it's also Bennett Stirtz is an 88% free throw shooter.
You're not following Stirtz.
That's part of why they didn't foul.
Who else is getting the ball though? Who else is going to get the ball? Of course, it's going to be Bennett Stirtz.
I know that's why you only do it when it's a certain percentage free throw shooter. Like that's the plan. Like they did it. The reason why they fouled against Texas Tech in the Elite Eight was because it was a guy that shot 60-something% from the free throw line and it was 1-on-1s. That's why they fouled. It changes the math and it changes the calculus. It's like I'll put it to you like this. All right, let's say that you have you're playing poker, right? You have a suit. You have suited in your hand, and one of those suits come out, and you got backdoor equity, right? It adds a little bit, like 5% to if you're going to jam. That's what it's like. That's how you got to think about it. Is you got backdoor equity.
But even if he is an 88% shooter, right? You're like, it's going to be such a scramble mode there, where you're like, I still will take overtime, given, again, this is results oriented because we know that he hit the 3, but I don't know. I was saying in Memphis when I was watching this game, I would foul here, and at the very least, I still actually have time to go make a shot.
So, I have a significantly bigger issue with the way that they defended it as opposed to whether or not they fouled it. Like, why are you trailing Bennett Stirtz to allow him to catch the ball in front of you and get a head of steam going to the basket? To me, that's the bigger issue than whether or not they fouled. But I don't think that
probably wanted. I'm sure they wanted somebody to come forward and
guys,
cut
look,
Bennett Stirtz off.
And here's my thing about it. Like, we can sit here and we can say whatever we want about Florida. Like, Iowa made the play. Like, you're playing against the reigning national champions, the number 1 seed in your region, and Bennett Stirtz gets where he needs to go, finds a shooter. Voulgaris steps back and knocks down a 3 with 4 seconds left. Like, to me, that's the story. If he misses, we don't even have this conversation. The dude made the shot. Like, they're in the Sweet 16, and John, you texted this earlier, which you have your moments where you say some funny shit sometimes. And when you said I wouldn't even watch Iowa, Nebraska on the Big Ten Network in January, and now we're going to be watching them on national television in the Sweet 16, is a perfect summation of where we are right now in this tournament and kind of where we are with the Big Ten. They got 6 teams into the Sweet 16, man.
I hear you on that one. Florida, quickly, how would you sum up their season, Rob? Because to me, obviously, we thought they were going to go deeper. We thought they were going to go back to the Final Four potentially, and they lose a game like this. What does this do to the Gators, who probably will lose Thomas Houck and, maybe Condon? This team isn't going to be the same next year. They're going to have to reload again. And how much does this hurt potentially Todd Golden's like NBA, stock, because that was real. Like if he went deep again and they maybe went to the Final Four or won a national title, there's going to be a bunch of NBA openings, and he might have fallen into one of them.
Yeah, well, look, if you're an NBA coach or you're an NBA general manager and you decide that you don't want to hire Todd Golden because he lost to a guy that's got an All-American point guard in Ben McCollum, who has something like an 80% winning percentage as a college basketball coach at the Division II level, and then at Drake, and then at Iowa, right? Like, weird things happen in the NCAA tournament. I bet you can go back and find games where Billy Donovan lost early in the NCAA tournament, where Jay Wright lost early in the NCAA tournament. NBA teams still wanted them, right? Billy Donovan got hired in the NBA, and there were years where he didn't even make it to the NCAA. Like they weren't even an at-large bid. So I don't think that one-game results should skew the way that you view a coach or a player. And the fact that he was able to figure out a way to make a team that dominant in a year where they really did have some question marks in their backcourt, like, yeah, I'm if you want to hire Todd Golden as an NBA organization, I'm not going to tell you that you're wrong. I hope he stays in college. I think that he's going to have quite a rebuild on his hands because, like you mentioned, they're losing a lot of those really important pieces in their front line. But that's this era. What elite team is not like? The way I view it is that if you are going to be good enough, you're going to be losing a lot of key pieces in the offseason, either to the NBA or to a higher level in the portal. So
you got to try to keep Condon. Keeping Condon is very important. They're going to lose Thomas. I would assume Thomas Howard leaves.
Yeah, he's a top
man. You got to go.
Right. I mean, you almost got to tell him to go.
Yeah. I struggle a little bit because, how often are you going to bring back 3 bigs of that caliber? Right. I mean, and then actually, hell, throw in Handlockton. I mean, he was on that team last year. So how often are you going to bring back 4 bigs of that caliber from a reigning national championship team? But look, they won the SEC. They were a 1 seed. This is a weird, this was Goodman. You know this as well as anybody. This Iowa team had an out-of-body experience tonight. They did. I know that they've lost some close ones to good teams, but and that's the random nature of the tournament.
I've been critical all year. You know this about the others in Iowa, but again, they stepped up.
I don't think this was an out-of-body experience. They shot 29% from 3. Like, this wasn't an out-of-body experience. They just outperformed Florida. Florida got out-coached, and Iowa executed a perfect game plan to perfection. Like, they did everything they were supposed to do to be able to win that game. Don't turn the ball over. Don't get beat on the glass.
But Rob, I'll say that. You say they shot 29% for 3. Take away the 0 for 9 from Bennett Stirtz, and the others were really good. That's what we're trying to say is all the others, to me, stepped up. Banks was really good. Manuel was in foul trouble for most of the game, but Fulgaris played well. He hasn't played well all year. He's been up and down. So I think this is a really, really atypical performance that all of those guys had their moments today.
Well, and again, it was the kind of game that we were looking for in this tournament, right? I mean, against the Big Ten team, so I don't want to go overboard with it, but these 1 seeds have been absolutely cruising, not just in this tournament, but even going back to last year. And so this was in some ways it was much needed for people, who wanted to see these kinds of moments. So, all right, before we get to anything else, St. John's, we're partying like it's 1999 around here. St. John's going to its first Sweet 16 since 1999. So that's Iowa and St. John's, both in the Sweet 16 for the first time since 1999. Dylan Darling scored one time. It was the final shot of the game, and it was the one that mattered the most. Rick Pitino was like, let me tighten up my tie and not even react to this one and just walk by. But St. John's is going through 67-65. Jeff, obviously, Rick Pitino, one of the greats in this sport, and taking over there at St. John's. This is a big moment for that program and a big moment for Rick Pitino.
And they were up most of the game. I mean, they had control of this thing throughout. And then all of a sudden you looked up and you were like, oh shit, like Kansas has got a chance here. I think Peterson got him back on an M1 to like 5. And then you were like, okay, you know what? They're going to put some real game pressure on him. And obviously it came down to the Rosario had a big putback. I can't remember who else had one. There were two big putbacks. And all of a sudden you look up and you're like, wow, like this could go the other way. And Bells, as Rick Pitino affectionately refers to Dylan Darling, the Idaho State transfer, as basically called his own number in the huddle before and said, like, yeah, like, let's run this play. And they ran it. And Rick said, he's like, I didn't realize really he hadn't scored at this point. And he gets downhill fairly easy and gets a great look at the basket. I think El Marco might have been on him for that play.
It was El Marco. Yeah, it was El Marco. Yeah.
Yeah, he just got by El Marco, and he's made these plays all year. Not that play necessarily, but like he has made big. I mean, that's why his nickname is Bells. Like he has made.
They're getting the balls. The balls continue to grow.
Yes, they do. They do
with each passing game.
Yeah. This was a fun ending of the game. It was ugly early. Like neither team could make a shot. I mean, it was a really, really bad offensive.
It wasn't just ugly early. Like this is what St. John's does to basketball games when they play like this. When you cannot run offense, when you can't get into the lane, when you can't figure out a way to get the ball into the post, when you commit 16 turnovers, that's what St. John's does to you. That's why they are so good, because it doesn't matter who they are playing against. It is really, really impressive how physical they are without being like committing over a ton of fouls. And I thought that in this matchup, I thought Bryce Hopkins made a bunch of huge threes, right? The whole game plan that Kansas had was we're not going to chase you off the 3-point line. We're going to stand 5 feet off of you. We're going to put everybody in and around the paint, and we're going to dare you to beat us from the perimeter. And it almost worked. But Bryce Hopkins hit 6 threes. And I'll tell you what, I thought the most interesting thing that came out of that post-game press conference was that Rick Pitino said the moment that changed this program for this year and the moment he realized that they had a real chance to make a run here was the way that the team stepped up for Bryce Hopkins in that Providence game. After that foul, everyone charged on the court. You had all the guys like having their players back, having their teammates back. And he said that was the moment where it kind of flipped for him. And they've been rolling ever since. Zuby was awesome again. I think we're at a point now where St. John's might be one of the scariest teams that's left in this tournament. Like, do you want to I don't think you want to face them, John, because they're just so physical. They're so good defensively. They're so big. They're so athletic. And last point I'll make is I saw Todd Golden say this. I forget who wrote it. It might have been, I think it was Kevin. It might have been Kevin Sweeney. I can't remember who it was. So if I got that wrong, please let me know. But he said that Todd Golden basically said that the reason why we see the biggest gap right now between the high majors and the mid majors is the size, the length, and athleticism that these power conference teams are leaning into this year. And I think you see it at the top of the sport. And St. John's can match up with anybody. Between Bryce Hopkins, Dylan Mitchell, and Zuby Ejiofor, they're as big and as physical and as athletic as anybody's front line.
They didn't always play that way this year. It's funny, like they really didn't. Early on in the year, I thought they were, for their size and athleticism,
that was the knock.
Right. They weren't
they couldn't guard anyone.
And they were getting out rebounded. Like it was ugly. And then all of a sudden, I think Rick should have put him like in front of the mirror and been like, look at you guys. Like, look at you guys. You should not get out rebounded or out toughed or out physical by anybody. You're old, you're big, you're strong, you're athletic. But Bryce was huge tonight. Like you said, he made that big 3 at the end of the game too. Mm-hmm. And they did not make a ton of threes in the first half. I mean, they were taking so many and not making them. And I'm like, why? Look at what you have.
It's because of what Kansas
had 2 fouls.
But that's the entire game plan that Kansas had is we're going to stand in the paint. We're going to stand 6 feet off of you. If you want to shoot over us, go ahead. That's the shot that we want. And frankly, like I'd make the argument that game plan worked. St. John shot 31% from three on 35 threes. You held them to 67 points. It worked.
No,
you just didn't score enough because they're too good defensively.
Real quick, I do want to get you, Goodman, while we're on this subject about Bill Self. He was asked, about kind of what's next. Said he's going to, talk to his family, and that he needs to be able to do, where he's feeling good and he's healthy enough. He'll get back home and it will all be discussed. I mean, I guess it would probably be asking you to speculate at this point, but what do you think the future holds?
I'm not going to do. I don't. Again, I know Bill well, but I'm not. I have no idea what he's thinking. I know he made some changes this year that the doctors suggested. He told me this. He said, doctors wanted him to relieve some stress. So I think one of the things they flipped, they practiced early in the morning this year. First year he ever did it, so that he could kind of enjoy the day and play golf if he wanted to in the afternoon. Because again, he's had numerous issues with his heart here, and I'm sure his wife, his kids are, worried about him. And you better make sure you relieve some stress because, again, this is not an easy job. You dealt with the Darren Peterson situation this year. He's probably got Tyron Stokes coming in next year, who's the most talented player in the country, but also an absolute handful to coach. Well, no, what do you want me to say?
No, I'm thinking like you think you make it through the Darren Peterson saga, and it's like, then you got Tyron Stokes coming in,
and if there's anybody that could deal with Stokes, I said it, it's Bill or Calipari. Those are the two guys that I think could deal with it. But Bill has had numerous health issues that might be related to stress, and this kid is going to cause him some stress. Trust me. So I don't know what he does. I hope he sticks around. I hate that some of these guys are going out because there are a bunch of guys that when I got in, I knew well, and, it makes me feel old if they go out, which I am old.
Yeah. You are old, first of all. Second of all, it's just we're trending towards a new era of like the best coaches in the sport, right? Like it was Jay Wright and Bill Self and Jim Boeheim and Roy Williams and Coach K, and now it's going to be the next wave of guys, whether it's earlier John Shire or these other guys. So,
yeah. All right. Well, we talked about two programs at the beginning of this show that are going back to their first Sweet 16 since 1999. The rest of this is about consistency. You look around the Sweet 16, and it's about programs that have been there and they've done it. And that was the stamp from most of the other games today. We'll get to those when we get back. Field of 68 after dark.
As you know by now, we have teamed up with BetMGM again this season. We'll be using BetMGM lines to make all of our picks, and we will have special offers for Field of 68 fans, including same-game parlays, best-in-class live betting, and daily odds boost. If you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, use bonus code FIELD to get up to a $1,500 first bet offer on your first wager with BetMGM. Here's how it works. You download the BetMGM app, you sign up using bonus code FIELD, you deposit at least $10 and place your first wager on any game, and you receive up to $1,500 in bonus bets if your bet loses. Just make sure you use that bonus code FIELD when you sign up. Make this college basketball season one for the history books. Make it legendary. And don't forget, if you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, use bonus code FIELD and get your $1,500 first bet offer today.
Hey everyone, Jeff Goodman here, and I'm excited to tell you about what's going on with our partners at Voodoo Rangers. You know what makes March even better? Chaos. That 111 seed that nobody believed in suddenly ruining everyone's weekend. And this year, Voodoo Ranger wants you to bet on 11. Grab a can of GeForce IPA with 11% ABV, then register that beer at bet11.com. If an 11 seed advances, you have a chance to win a juicy prize, $11,000. We're also taking a trip to Vegas, exclusive GeForce merch. And if an 11 seed pulls off an upset, 1,100 fans could win cash for their next round. It's the juiciest bet of the tournament. No brackets, no stress, just cold beer and beautiful chaos. Visit beton11.com to enter. Win or lose, still got beer. Learn more at bet11.com. You must be 21 or older. No alcohol purchase necessary. Legal in all 50 states. Full rules at beton11.com.
Welcome back. Sunday, March 22nd edition of Field of 68 After Dark. The Sweet 16 is set. The tournament starts, and man, it moves really fast. Jeff Goodman, John Martin, Rob Doster here with you tonight. And we talked about Iowa and St. John's, who are both making their first Sweet 16 appearances since 1999. What's that, 27 years? Every other team that we talk about tonight, this ain't new to that. This ain't new. They're true to it, and that includes the UConn Huskies. Alex Karaban, career best. I kind of couldn't believe that this was true, but career best 27 points as the UConn Huskies make their third Sweet 16 in 4 years. Rob, you were there for it. They get past UCLA tonight, 73-57. It was interesting for a minute. It didn't look like this the whole time, but UConn was just too much there late.
Yeah, on Alex Karaban, I'm happy for him because one of the knocks on him has been he doesn't take over games when UConn needs someone to take over games, right? It's like, where is Alex when we need someone to go out there and win a game for us? And early on, solo ball was struggling. He was 0 for 5 tonight. Braylon Mullins missed a bunch of shots early. Terrace Reed had a couple of turnovers, and Silas Demery was not on the floor at the start of the game. And Alex came out there, and I think he scored 11 of UConn's first 15 points, got it rolling, hit a couple of big threes early on in the second half to extend the lead. They ran a couple of plays for him, and you know, he was at his best. And I think that like 16 to 8 minute segment in the second half to when UConn went from being down 44-42 to up 56-44, and that kind of put the game away. And it was a game that he really needed. But I think this was you said the other day, what'd you say about a win for someone, John? It was a spiritual win. Yeah,
that was Arkansas against Missouri on the road.
Yeah, I feel like this was like a spiritual culture win for UConn tonight because they were playing with basically 7 guys. Eric Ryba was really strong. Like I don't think he played in the second half. And Silas Demery, I'll tell you this, he should not be out there. Like what he's going through to play, like he should not be playing. If this was not the NCAA tournament, he'd probably be out for another 3 weeks. But he's gutting it out. He's making it work. I don't know how he's doing what he's doing, but he had played 21 minutes, 4 assists, no turnovers. And the biggest thing was in the second half, they put Silas Demery on Donovan Dent. And in the second half, Donovan Dent did absolutely nothing. They shut the water off. That's why UConn made the run. They were able to get back to doing what they do on the defensive end of the floor, and that's what makes this team elite.
Yeah, I mean, it was a great sign that Mullins played well. You know, great sign to see a couple shots fall for him. But, man, you know how Kingston Flemings kept saying to us every interview, I was unplayable? Solo ball right now looks unplayable at times. I mean, his shot, it's unbelievable. This kid who came in with such a rep as a shooter just hasn't been able to shoot the ball with any consistency this year. But again, like you said,
it's mental.
They have
like
enough.
The part of it, Goodman, it's in here. It's the 6 inches between his ears. Yeah.
No, you could tell because he had one at the end that was like wide open, and it was almost like he aimed it, like he was pushing it in, and it came up short. I don't know if I've changed at all on UConn after this game. You know, obviously Karaban playing well, that's great news. But if Demery's not close to 100% and he'll get, 4 or 5 days off here, he better get close because I don't have the confidence in solo ball now. I'd rather see, honestly, I would rather see more of Jaden Ross and less solo ball.
Yes, that is the difference. And I don't know if you remember this, Goodman. I don't know if you were on, but when Donovan Clingan joined us on Thursday afternoon in DC, which feels like that was like 8 years ago, by the way, when we were down there in Maryland, not in DC. But he said Jaden Ross was going to be the X factor for this group, and what he was able to do defensively, some of the plays that he made, and he had a couple of huge threes for him in the first half. That I'm at the point where I think Jaden Ross this is what the minute distribution should be. Jaden Ross playing 25 minutes off the bench and Solo playing a little bit less. I don't think they're going to change the starting lineup because Hurley is too loyal. And if you pull Solo ball from the starting lineup now, I think he'll go from going 0 for 5 to shoot 5 air balls. Like, I think that you have to keep fighting to try to get him back to where
he's fought all year. You fought all year. You had like 4 good games.
I know. I don't think. I don't think that you can do. I don't think that Dan would embarrass his guy. Like that would embarrass.
I agree with that.
I don't think Dan would
cut his minutes. Cut his minutes. Give him 15 minutes a game, and honestly, give Ross 25.
Yep. And the other biggest thing, and then we can kind of move on from here. But Jaden Ross defensively, when you have him next to Solo Ball, I think those are two. I'm sorry, when you have him next to Silas Demery, those are two guys that are absolute lockdown defenders. And I think that's what kind of raises this team's ceiling a little bit. It'll be interesting to see where Silas is in 4 days, because if you thought Donovan Dent was going to be an issue, like Jeremy Fears, he's All-American too. You go from Donovan Dent to Jeremy Fears, like, man, good luck.
Tough, no question about it. But again, third Sweet 16, 4 years there for UConn. All right, Purdue gets past Miami in a score that maybe does not tell the most accurate story. This was a nip-tuck game for the entirety of the way until at the very end with foul shooting. But Purdue nonetheless gets past Miami, and they, Jeff Goodman, are going back to the Sweet 16 for the third year in a row. And look, I know that in the end, when we talk about these teams, these programs, people do like to measure you on Final Fours. They like to measure you on national championships. But when you think about who are the staples, who are the institutions, who is going to be there when it gets serious, Purdue and Matt Painter have proven that it's going to be them.
Yeah, I mean, they've played a lot. They're not going to get rattled, right? I mean, that's the one thing with those guys. And Fletcher Lawyer, who's been inconsistent, has shot the ball very well so far in the tournament. And he was terrific today. And same thing with TKR. He was terrific tonight. Braden Smith didn't shoot the ball well, but again, I think that'll come. I mean, I just feel like we've been saying that for a while now. He has not shot the ball nearly as well as we thought. But again, this was a good, hard-fought win against, and that's the one thing. Like, what's Miami? Well, Miami's big, athletic, and physical. Those are the types of teams that are scary. That's why Rob picked Miami to upset Purdue in this game. And that's why this was a good win for Purdue, because it's not a great matchup for them, but they found a way to win, and they did it with Braden probably playing his C game.
Yeah, like Braden was bad. Maybe that's too strong, but like Braden was not good. He
turning it over like crazy.
And he had 8 turnovers. You want to know why they won this game? They won this game for 2 reasons. CJ Cox and Fletcher Lawyer, the 2 guys that we've spent most of this season being like, they got to be better. They got to be more consistent. When they're good is when those guys have good games. Fletcher Lawyer had 24 on 7 shots, made all 4 of the threes that he took. Wasn't rattled, didn't turn the ball over, was tough, was engaged, got to the basket a couple times. Like this was as good as Fletcher Lawyer has played for Purdue, and they needed him in this moment. CJ Cox, who, like, luckily, I don't know if you can hear me knocking on wood here. Hopefully that knee injury he has is not going to be something serious, but when they were in the mud,
look bad. It actually didn't. I mean, you saw him walk off the court. I think he was just freaked out. I think he I
thought the moment, like when they showed the injury, I was like, oh no, I was like, he's done. And then he came back on the bench, and I think it was Rothstein reported that he could have played, but they were up, so they were like, we're just relax, we got this. But he got them out of the mud, man. Like, they were down by 9 early, and CJ Cox ripped off 3 straight threes late in the first half, and then there was a bucket late, and I think Purdue went into the break. No, Miami was up by 2 at halftime, but Purdue was down 9, and CJ Cox ripped off threes on 3 straight possessions to get them back into this thing like that. Those were the 2 guys. It wasn't TKR. It wasn't Braden Smith. Oscar Clough was good, but he wasn't great.
TKR was good. He was good today. But he wasn't. You're right. Like, the X factors are Fletch and CJ Cox. And I guess both good when Cox was healthy.
You're right. My point was more like TKR having 19-9 is like, that's TKR. It wasn't like he went.
But it's not. It hasn't been. It hasn't been this year, all year. It needs to be.
Yeah,
and we thought it
right.
was going to be.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like can he do this every night in the tournament? Like they're obviously going to need him, going forward here. What do they have coming up? They have Texas, and he's got to go against Big Matas. One of them does, Clough or TKR. That's no easy task. And then if you get by Texas, you're going to face probably Arizona in the Elite Eight. That's no easy task. So like TKR's got to be. He's got to get back to what we thought he was going to be this year, and he hasn't been that. So I thought today was important for him, for Fletch. And Matt Painter, by the way, congrats. 500th career win today for Matt Painter.
Yeah, I'm really amazing. Honestly, it is. And then a quick word, a great first year for Jay Lucas. I mean, I don't know how this could have gone better for him. I mean, this was a 7 seed. You beat Missouri in the first round. I think he's obviously on the up and up, no question about that. In Coral Gables, so I think he's got an opportunity there to come back next year. Maybe keep some of these guys and keep it rolling. All right, Tennessee, 4th straight.
If you're Jay Lucas, here's the most important thing for Jay Lucas next year: call up John Ruiz, call up Nevin Shapiro, call up Luther Campbell.
John Ruiz is broke. Dude, John Ruiz is broke.
Call whoever it is. Maybe he's got pennies somewhere. Call up another.
More money.
So John Ruiz, Ponzi schemer, broke now. Nevin Shapiro, Ponzi schemer, broke. Find another Ponzi schemer that's going to pay you enough money to get Shelton Henderson to come back. Because Shelton Henderson next year, if he comes back to school, my bold prediction is that Shelton Henderson is a first-team All-ACC player and an All-American.
Agreed. He's terrific.
I think John Ruiz spent all of his money on Nigel Pack. I think he
probably true. Yes.
I think that was.
Don't forget about the Cameron twins.
Yeah. How could I, Rob? You won't let me do
that.
Will you?
Who won that game, Rob? Oh, it's coming up.
Yeah, it's in a week.
Right. It's in a week.
You
looking forward to it?
Yeah, we'll do an after dark for that one.
Cool.
Specifically, it'll be you and Sam Ravitch. All right, Tennessee, 4th straight Sweet 16. Again, we talk about consistency. That's what Rick Barnes has built at Tennessee. There's just no question about that. They're tough. They defend. They got the stops they had to get tonight against Virginia, and Tennessee is going back to its 4th straight Sweet 16. Jeff, when Rick Barnes took his job,
come to me. I'm here. I'm in Tennessee.
Rob was there.
I'll let you take the Rick Barnes thing.
You saw it. Got it. Okay,
yeah,
you're there.
I want to say something real quick. And then I'll let Jeff take it.
Yeah,
we've seen how many guys have we seen get hurt and sit out? How many potential NBA players have we seen tweak something, deal with something, got some kind of injury that's nagging, and sit out and not play and say, I'm good. I'm going to protect my draft stock. I don't need to force it here. I got lots of stuff to worry about. Nate Ament is not healthy. I'm sitting courtside and I see him hit the ground. I can hear him grimacing. I can see him grimacing. I could see the way he's not putting pressure on his ankle while he is not right. And he went out there tonight and he had 16 points. He had 4 boards. He made a couple big shots in the first half to help push that lead up. He got fouled. You got to give him credit for fighting through it and for playing through it and for playing for Tennessee and for playing on the name of the front of the jersey. And I think guys like Silas Denver too, those guys, you got to give them credit for playing through the pain that they're in right now, because neither of them, if this was January, if this was the middle of conference season, I don't think we'd see either of those guys out there. And they're toughing it out and they're playing through a lot of pain.
I thought Tennessee was impressive. Their overall body of work today was really impressive because they got contributions. We've kind of talked about them as being a 2-man team, right? Gillespie and Nate being the guys. And today, obviously, Bishop Boswell was terrific. And I thought Estrella was really good, or as you call him, who called him Estrella?
Estrella. JP Estrella.
Yeah, he's from Maine, so it's not Estrella. And Felix Okpara is terrific in terms of the rim protection that he gives you. So they got Jalen Carey. I think they got it from everybody today. It was a good team win against a solid, and that's probably understating what Virginia has done this year. So this was a good win for Tennessee. And again, Rick Barnes man, what he's done, nobody saw.
I mean, because Jeff, this was supposed to be. It was supposed to be a down year. This was not supposed to be another Sweet 16 team. They lost so much from the year before, and he's got him back. I mean, this is a 6 seed now. You don't want to take it for granted. That's not easy to do.
Yeah, and again, he did it with Gillespie and Ament being the two primetime players, but some of those other guys were good today.
Yeah, can I also say just real quick on Rick Barnes? The thing that I love about this is how many coaches do we see that get fired or let go, however you want to phrase what happened to him at the end at Texas, that see that happen to them and then get another job at a high major, and they're just there to cash their retirement checks. Like, that's all it is.
For sure.
It's just a job for them to be able to throw some money in the bank so that when they end up getting fired again, they're able to buy a really nice beach house wherever they want to go to the beach. And I kind of thought that was going to happen with Rick Barnes at Tennessee, and it's been the total opposite. Like, it's rejuvenated him. He's been better at Tennessee than he was at Texas. Better, more consistent. That is a top, 3-4 program in the SEC right now that might even be number 2 behind Kentucky in terms of what they've been over the last decade. Maybe even Kentucky's not in. He's turned that into a juggernaut that is consistently among the top 10 to 15 teams in America. And in a down year, they are a 6 seed that is heading to the Sweet 16. I don't think the job that he's done there gets enough credit. It's been really, really fun to watch.
Yeah, no, it has. He deserves a lot of credit. There's no question about that. All right, we got a lot more to get to, including some other teams that punched their ticket, including Jeff Goodman's alma mater, who he finally has embraced. The Arizona Wildcats. Sure. Don't worry, Tommy Lloyd's going back. But see, that's not what we're worried about. It's getting out of the Sweet 16. So we'll discuss whether or not Tommy Lloyd does that on the other side. Field of 68 After Dark.
It's 2026. Everything in our world has leveled up. Our phones are supercomputers, your car parks itself, but your razor is still flimsy and overpriced. That's where Harry's Plus comes in. Harry's Plus has an advanced pivoting system to reach every corner of your face. It has refined blade tech for a close and smoother shave and has a weighted metal handle for added control and comfort. Most importantly for me, Harry's Plus has German-engineered blades that are honed at 3 different angles to cut hair cleanly and without razor burn. I may have a beard, but I still need to shave my neck to make sure I don't look like Paul Gasol. And with Harry's, I have never dealt with razor burn, painful bumps, or the kind of nicks and cuts that you get with drugstore blades. If you don't love your shave, Harry's will make it right, no questions asked. There's zero downside to giving it a shot. For a limited time, our listeners get the Harry's Plus trial set for only $10 at harrys.com/F68. This set includes all new Harry's Plus razor, 1 refined 5-blade cartridge, a 2-ounce foamy shave gel, and a travel cover to protect your blades on the go. Just head to harrys.com/F68 and tell them we sent you. Today's episode of the Field of 68 is brought to you by Mando. Some men mask their BO with sense. Mando men get the job done right. Mando whole body deodorant was created by a doctor who saw firsthand how normal BO was being misdiagnosed and mistreated. You want a solid deodorant stick? Mando's got one formulated and powered by a mandelic acid to stop odor before it starts. You like spray bottles? Mando's is aluminum free and ideal for hard to reach places. All Mando products are baking soda and paragon free, and it's safe for anywhere on your body. Pits, balls, thighs, folds, feet, even the grundle. It's perfect for me this time of year. I'm spending 15 hours a day in an arena that hasn't had the AC turned on yet. If I didn't have Mando products, I might smell like the guy sitting next to me on press row, because Mando is clinically proven to control odor better than Old Spice. Want to try America's #1 whole body deodorant formula right now? You can find it in Walmart and Target and other retailers across the country. But for the best deals, go to shopmando.com and use code F68 for 20% off at checkout.
Welcome back, Field of 68 After Dark on a Sunday, March 22nd edition of the show. Man, it's just kind of crazy how it's all flying by. The Sweet 16 is set. Jeff Goodman, John Martin, Rob Doster. We're here on SiriusXM for about 10 more minutes, and then we're going to be on YouTube for a brief afters. But I say that knowing Rob Doster's on, so that's probably bullshit. But at
1:30. 1:30 is the hard out. I have a big softball.
All right, you hear that? You hear that, Doster?
Season opener tomorrow morning.
You hear that?
My internet just cut out.
Well, if it cuts out, then that'll mean the afters in early too. So it'll all sort itself out. All right, Iowa State, no Joshua Jefferson. No problemo. They blow out Kentucky, especially there in the second half. Only up 1.5, but they lean on Kentucky in the second half and just kind of turn the water off. And now Iowa State is back in the Sweet 16. 3 of the last 5 years. Tamin Lipsey said he wants to extend that. He wants to extend his stay in the NCAA tournament. But let's just keep it to today, Jeff. What did you think of this performance from Iowa State with no Josh Jefferson?
I mean, defense. That's where it started. And, you know, it's not that hard to game plan against this Kentucky team, right? Don't let them get out in transition. Just don't, because that's really the only way they score. You know, Owe can make some plays in half court, but for the most part, just don't let them go. And Iowa State did. And at the end of the first half, they were down. They locked down Kentucky at the end of the half, and then second half it was all Cyclones. And Tamin Lipsey had one of his best games in his 4-year career, and that's saying a lot because he's been unbelievable, as good a two-way point guard as it probably is in the country when you factor in defense. And you put Lipsey and Toure, as I said, I think we said this the other day. You put those two on Owe and Aberdeen, it's going to make their life pretty tough, and that's what happened tonight. So, you know, it's going to be big to see if Jefferson can somehow make it back for this game against Tennessee, because they can beat him without him. But again, if they have them and then they go,
that did not look promising, though. I mean, none of that looked like a guy that was going to come back by next week. I mean,
look,
I'm no doctor, but
all I'll say is that Nate Amen's injury did not look like he'd be back in 2 weeks, and Silas Demery's injury did not look like he'd be back in a week. Like, you never know. When it's an ankle and you're just trying to play through pain, and it's not something.
I mean, the rest of us don't know, but you, Dr. Doster, usually knows.
You're the doctor around here.
I'm telling you. No, look, I think that even without Josh Jefferson, Iowa State can beat Tennessee, because that was a culture win for me tonight. Again, like I'm saying it again, but it was a testament to what TJ has built in terms of the identity, in terms of who they are as a team, in terms of the next man up mentality, all that cliche shit that we always hear about and we always talk about. That is everything that Iowa State is. And I think that Killian Torrey and Tamin Lipsey can give problems to whoever is guard, or like whoever's in the Tennessee backcourt, right? I think that they have enough size inside to be able to rebound still. I still think that they can win, because I think Iowa State is better than any individual name that they have on that roster. And I think that when you compare that to what Kentucky is, where you have a bunch of pieces that are put together that don't ever really look like a cohesive unit. Like Mark Pope said before that game, TJ could take 5 guys from the rec and give him a week and he'd make it be a monster offensively. That's not what Kentucky is at all. And I thought that the contrast between program and culture building versus Kentucky's team building was a stark difference in this game.
Yeah.
Yep. I would just say that when you get to March 22nd, damn near every win is going to be a culture win.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like the programs that have the better one most times, I mean, yeah, talent matters too, but most times when you're getting into the Sweet 16 range here, it's going to be about whose program, is stronger, whose culture is better. And I think there's no question, especially considering the Jefferson injury. You saw that because Kentucky got up, double digits in the first half? And you're like, oh, man, everything's falling off without Josh Jefferson. But they stabilized, hit a couple of shots, and it was all Iowa State the rest of the way. All right, Arizona going to its third straight Sweet 16. They win by 12. Hopefully, if you liked Arizona, you got them at 11.5. Otherwise, I think you pushed. It's numbers matter. That's what we always say at BetMGM. But Arizona is going back to the Sweet 16, Jeff Goodman. But we know they have bigger ambitions than just the second weekend, don't we?
Yeah, no. I mean, they're arguably the favorite right now. I don't know if Vegas says they are. Probably not. But
I believe they
right
are the favorite. I believe they are
they
the favorite.
favorite?
Yeah,
in Vegas.
I believe they have moved. Yes.
Wow.
Yes,
I'm
because
surprised.
Duke's injuries,
Right.
I think.
I agree with that. I didn't know if they actually did it, but they're the healthiest of the best teams, and that's huge this time of year. And they also have two guards. We called Jaden Bradley the closer, but man, Braden Burry's hit a huge 3 tonight. He can close too. And defensively, what Krivas does, and Utah State gave him a little bit of a run, in the second half, and they mucked it up in the first half a little bit. Arizona struggled, but when they get going, man, they just got so many weapons. And Delorso didn't even do anything tonight, and they still, put up 78 points because everybody in their team is capable. So Arkansas, that's going to be a fun game. It's going to be a fun game to see. I want to see what Karchenkov can do. I assume he'll be on Malik. I would assume.
I bet they put him on. Acuff.
They'll probably switch him. I don't know if you start him on. You think you start him on? I would start Bradley on Acuff.
I'd put the length and athleticism on him, and
he's going to go right by Karchenkov. He's going to go right by him.
I think Karchenkov is better defensively than you realize.
No, I love him, but the speed and burst of Acuff is friggin' ridiculous.
Yeah, it is. I'm excited about that matchup, and I'm excited to. Well, I'm doing this show on Tuesday, so I'll reveal what I'm going to do for the Sweet 16 on Tuesday because it's going to be nothing.
Everybody is waiting for that. I mean, that was like the greatest tease ever. Everybody is
going
to come back to that.
I gave Rob Doster a 9-1. I literally pulled it out of my ass. Did I not, Rob?
You did.
That 9-1. We were at Taps. I literally pulled it out of my ass.
Yeah, and then yesterday you had one where we were one leg away. I forget what it was. We'll talk about that.
We were Vandy away from covering another ridiculous 17-1. Yeah.
Yep.
All right, Toast, Rob Doster, please.
I'm going to allow Goodman to have Iowa, so I'll go with Dylan Darling, the guy that didn't score the whole game until the buzzer beater, and a true buzzer beater, like game winner, ball is in the air when the buzzer goes off. Shout out to Dylan Darling.
Shout out.
I mean, for me, it's Ben McCullum. It's the dude was coaching in the Division II Sweet 16 2 years ago, and he just beat the defending national champs and the number 1 seed Florida Gators. Crazy.
Yes. Shot over 70% from 2, which I believe is the first time that's ever happened against Todd Golden's Florida Gators since he's over. All right, we're going to YouTube. Thanks for being with us here on Sirius XM. Stay with us on YouTube.
These my DJ Burns shades I had for.
That was like taking them into the depths of Alaska and just dropping them off.
The first person that's gonna die got to be one of the black guys. They're not gonna make it to the end of the movie.
That's like asking somebody that they want to get a prostate exam or a damn gunshot wound.
Welcome to the Afters. Jeff Goodman, John Martin, Rob Doster here with you, Field of 68, recapping what was a very fun day of college basketball, a redeeming second round, a 1 seed goes down. We have not yet discussed the final game of the night. It just went final about 15 minutes ago. Alabama, Rammer Hammer, the Alabama Crimson Tide are going back to the Sweet 16. This is 5 out of the last 6 years for Nate Oates. People talk a lot of shit about Nate Oates, and maybe some of it is warranted. But this guy has turned Alabama basketball, into one of the most consistent programs in the country. They're going back to the Sweet 16. They win in 21. They win in 23. They win in 24. They win in 25. And now they're going back in 2026. So what is that, 4 in a row? You'd be hard pressed to find somebody that's doing it more consistent than that. And they laid waste to Texas Tech tonight, Rob Doster, 90-65.
Yeah, every time I looked at the score, it was like, oh, Alabama's up 12. Oh, Alabama's up 20. Oh, Alabama's up 49-19 late in the first half. It's just Texas Tech kind of ran out of steam, right? Like we knew eventually that was going to happen when you don't have JC Toppin, and they just ran into an Alabama team that couldn't miss. There are nights where that just happens with this Alabama team. 19 for 42 from three. Sometimes they just do not miss. And when they get shoot, like, it reminded me of was it BYU last year in the Sweet 16, right? The game in Newark when they went 25 for 52 from three. Like you let them get 42 threes up and that many open threes, you're dead.
Rob, you know what they look like? You know what they look like? A 10.
Talking to the microphone, nobody can hear you.
Well, I can't. I was holding up my two hands. So what do you want me to do? They look like a 10 seed, and I'm going to hold up one hand. I had to hold up two hands.
Alabama looked like a 10 seed. Wow, Nate, you hear that? Goodman said you look like a 10
Texas
seed.
Tech looked like a 10 seed. That's what they look like tonight.
Alabama like a 1 seed tonight.
Well, I mean, it's funny because nobody's been on the Alabama train more than me this whole year, and I finally decided to not jump off it completely, but I just I don't know how far they can go at this point because, frankly, like they just haven't really put it all together. They haven't put it all together this year. And Aiden Sherrill, you knew this was going to be a good matchup for Aiden Sherrill because, frankly, Texas Tech doesn't have anything down low anymore with Toppin being out. And even without Aiden Holloway, they've got plenty of guards, man. Houston Millett can step up. Amari Allen, we know what he can do. Wrightsville shoots the hell out of it too, and he's healthy now. So, what Nate Oates has done here is super impressive. I don't know what they're going to do against Michigan, but my take is if you're Alabama, you got to make 15 threes and rebound. You got to be able to get some rebounds. You got to be able to not get completely crushed in the glass. But Iowa just showed that they could hang with Florida, so maybe Alabama can get some boards too.
Yeah. By the way, Rob, can you address the public opinion that you hate me? Can you just confirm or deny it? If you confirm that you hate me,
that I hate you.
Yes. Can you confirm or deny it? Because it continues to be, it's becoming a thing. So either you hate me or you don't, but we need to get all out there right now.
Well, let me just say, there was one person who I did not invite to go play poker all 3 nights that we were in Maryland, and there was one person who I went to go play poker with, who was the action, and you never want to be the action. Who was the action?
Yeah,
and that was John.
I was the action. I was the action. That's the problem, Goodman. You either are the action or you benefit from the action. And I was the action.
My action is? My action is every time I sit down without one Robert Doster at the blackjack table, I come
what we discovered?
On top.
You know what we discovered on Friday night? That you are the bad vibe. Me and John said, how much money did we make at the blackjack table on Friday night?
We did. We ran it up with Josie. We did. It was unbelievable.
We discovered you were the bad. Every card that we called for, I swear, Goodman, every time we called for a card, we got it. Yeah. I think I hit 5 blackjacks and John hit 3. He would call for
let's move forward. We got a heart out here tonight. We got a heart out. Let's stay on track.
All right. Well, this is we're trying to hold the mirror up to Goodman, and maybe he doesn't like it. Okay, so we hit Bama. They're going back to the Sweet 16. What else were we hitting tonight before we got out of coaching carousel? Is that what we
want to hit, Rob? You want to hit
let's
the region or something?
No, we'll get to that at the end. But I want to get to the coaching stuff because Brian Hodgson got hired at Providence. Jerry McNamara got hired at Syracuse. Which of those 2 jobs is the better job, Jeff? And which of those 2 jobs made the better hire?
I mean, I think long-term, Syracuse will be the better job again. But if you're taking a job, which you have to these days for a 2-year period, because you don't know what it's going to look like in 3, 4, 5 years. So I think Providence is a better job today for a couple reasons. Number one, they'll have probably a little bit more money than Syracuse for NIL, which sounds crazy, but that's the way it looks right now. Number 2, the expectations aren't nearly as high at Providence than they are at Syracuse. Number 3, I mean, frankly, if you take the Syracuse job, you probably right now have to keep Kai and Anthony. And I'm not sure that's the best thing for Jerry McNamara. But he's not going to run off Kai and Anthony because of his relationship with Carmelo. And I just don't know if Kai and Anthony, again, I've said this for years, I really like him as a kid. We interviewed him earlier this year. He was super impressive. On the court, he's a poor man's Carmelo, and he's 6'4", and he takes a lot of bad shots. So maybe he'll mature next year, but that's another issue for the short term here for a year or two potentially. So I like Providence better. I think it's a perfect fit for Brian Hodgson. He brings energy. He brings a sense of like FU to the table, which is all Providence fans want, right? Somebody who's going to fight for him, somebody who's going to talk shit. And he can recruit at a high level, and he proved he can coach these 3 years at Arkansas State. He flipped that program quickly and then just won both the regular season and the American tournament. So I love that one.
He swept everything in the American. He just completely destroyed the American in one season.
He did. Yep.
Player of the year, defensive player of the year, coach of the year, regular season, American tournament. I mean, I don't know if you have a better year than he had in a league like that. So, okay, Jerry McNamara.
Yeah, well, one more real quick thing on Providence, Goodman. Where do they stand now in the Big East for you in terms of what this team can be? Let's assume, and it's hard to do, but let's assume that Hodgson does what he does, brings in a bunch of talent, and is able to flip this thing pretty well in year one, like he did for Arkansas State and like he did for South Florida.
He could be right there with Villanova. I mean, think about it right now. Creighton, we don't know what they're going to have. We don't know who's coaching them. I assume it's going to be Alan Huss next year who will take over for Greg McDermott. Butler's got low money. DePaul's got low money, but Holtman, obviously, we know will do more with less. Seton Hall, they'll be solid. They'll be solid again, I think, if they have money. Who else am I forgetting about?
Marquette. I think Marquette will be back towards the top next year.
Yeah, I want to see. I mean, again, I want to see that to believe it. But, yeah, I just think Providence, that's the other part of when you're looking at Providence to Syracuse. You're saying, you know what? I got a chance to finish third in this league right away.
Yeah.
Where you take the Syracuse job, you're looking at like, all right, can I break through? Can I get to like seventh in year one? Maybe I can get to seventh. So that's another.
You're kind of chasing ghosts in Syracuse almost, right? Like,
that's it. Yes.
I mean,
yes.
I love the brand, but I don't know if it's that.
We love the brand. I'd
rather live in Providence.
The problem is
live in Providence than Syracuse.
Yeah, but the problem with that, Providence just got like 36 inches of snow like 3 weeks ago.
And Syracuse doesn't get snow?
I'm just saying neither of them are ideal.
In New York. Everybody knows.
I would rather live in Tampa. That's just me. No, but the thing about it is, look at what.
But you don't want to have to deal with Penny twice a year, though. You know what I mean? Like, that's the downside to living in Tampa.
People our age think of Syracuse a certain way. I think kids of the generation that you're recruiting think of Syracuse a very different way. And I think that is what
they haven't been good. They haven't been relevant in the regular season in 50. It feels like 10 years.
And Providence nobody thinks of Providence at that level, but they have the money to be able to make you ignore that. And that's what matters.
Yep.
So
all right. Yes, Jerry McNamara is.
Yeah.
Please.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. You do your deal.
Yeah, I mean, because that is my job. Your job is your job. My job is mine. You know what I mean? And sometimes you feel like you're supposed to do my job. Calm down. I'm gonna get to you, man. All right, Jesus Christ. Yeah. Jerry McNamara, long expected, obviously coming over from Siena. Great showing. In the end, you're going to be battling with Duke. A couple times a year. It's a great audition. There's no question about it. Taking the Syracuse job, long expected. So, Goodman, I'll throw it to you. How can he do? How do we expect him to fare?
Well, first of all, again, they made another run at Josh Schertz here. They made another run, per my sources, at Schertz and threw more money at him. And when they didn't get Schertz, then they really turned their attention to Jerry McNamara and said, new AD, Brian Blair. All right, we'll bring, one of our favorite sons back home. But it wasn't something where they were saying like, we're definitely going with GMAC. We're going in the family. It was one of those things where we did the family thing with Red Autry. It didn't work. Again, new AD, talking to the old AD, John Wildhack, trying to figure this thing out. And Stirtz decided to stay at St. Louis because, again, I think the biggest thing for Stirtz is I'm not going to take a job unless it's a job where I think I have a chance to win the whole thing. And he'll stay hot at St. Louis. Next year, he just signed a deal for a lot of money at St. Louis, and he loses Robbie Avila, but they'll still be good, and he'll still be hot next year, and a lot more jobs are going to open up next year. GMAC will do well there. He'll do well. He knows the landscape. He knows everything about it, knows the people. He can raise money if he really works at it, and I think that's going to be key, though. Is GMAC going to get out there and really try to raise money? Because you're going to need to do that at Syracuse to get them where they want to be. I saw somebody said they're going to be top third of the league in NIL. And it's funny, like somebody, Georgia Tech called me the other day and they were like, we're going to be middle third. And I'm like, okay, like you can say it all you want. Like I'll believe it when I see it. I'll believe it when I see it. And when I see it is when I see your roster. And then I can kind of figure out really where you are. And Syracuse hasn't been there. And I think it's going to be up to GMAC to be able to use those connections and be able to, try to get some, more booster involvement. However you figure out a way these days to get more than the rev share number that you're given, because there are creative ways to do it.
Yeah.
If Jerry McNamara, national champion Jerry McNamara, Carmelo's teammate Jerry McNamara, 6 threes in the first half against Kansas Jerry McNamara, can't raise money at Syracuse, then it's time to put that program in a coffin, bury it 6 feet deep, call it a day. It's Jerry McNamara. If he can't do it, no one can.
I like the hire. I mean, he did a great job at Siena in 2 years. I wasn't sure he would do that. He got him the tournament in year 2 in a program that hadn't been there in 16 years.
I love the hire. You've heard me say this, Goodman. I love the hire. I don't think it's a guarantee that it'll hit, but if it hits, you got a guy for 30 years. I love the hire.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Yep. What else we got?
Okay. Well, we got a big one. The University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill. Yeah. We did about, I think we streamed for, what was it, like 29 hours at MGM National Harbor. I think we spent 16 of those hours on North Carolina basketball, and it does seem like they are trending toward making a change. Jeff, would that be your assessment?
Yeah, okay. I mean, according to my sources, it could well happen in Monday. By the time people are watching this Monday, it could be done already. I don't know the timeline on it right now. Again, I'm sure they're trying to figure out, how to do it the right way too, right? I mean, he's one of your own. So you want to make sure that he's okay with how it went down, how he's compensated. Maybe you give him some sort of position within the university. Who knows what you do here, but you don't want to do what UConn did to Kevin Ollie, right? You don't want to, because when you do that, you piss off some of the other people that are close to Hubert Davis. We saw today, I think Seth Davis put out some sort of statement that Larry Brown thinks he should get another year. There are plenty of people that love Hubert Davis, the human being. So you want to do right by Hubert, but I do think all signs point to the fact that Hubert Davis is out.
And now the question, Rob, becomes, who's it going to be? Because I know that there were probably some conditions that led to the Hubert Davis hire. Those conditions would not exist with the next one. So how big can Carolina dream here?
I don't think, and we talked about this a little, was it last night? Friday night? I think it was last night. Goodman said that Todd Golden's buyout's too big. NATO's not a good fit. Dan Hurley's not going to do it. If you want to call if you want to call Jay Wright and Brad Stevens, go ahead. You're wasting your time. I think that I don't know if the timeline necessarily makes sense for Billy Donovan and he's been out of the game so long, like, does it work? I've come around to the idea that I think the guy that they should go after is Mark Byington. And Goodman and John, please tell me if this is a terrible idea and you think that I'm completely off. But I think that he is a guy that has proven he could coach. You saw what he did at James Madison. You saw what he's done these couple of years at Vanderbilt. Tyler Tanner still has 2 years of eligibility left. Tyler Tanner's playing for Mark Byington these 2 years, committed to Mark Byington, been there the same 2 years that Byington's been there at Vanderbilt. He can probably make a significant raise by going to Carolina. And if you're going to tell me that you can give me Mark Byington with Henry Visar for a year and Tyler Tanner, that's a great way to start off a tenure at a program. I'll tell you that. So I think
I cannot believe this guy is tampering with Tyler Tanner, Jeff. I mean, this is reprehensible behavior from him.
Hey, everyone's their season's over. He's a free agent. He's a free agent now.
Everyone's a free agent. I love the Byington. We talked.
But
about
I'll say this: it would probably work, but
it'd be
underwhelming.
It would
not be. It would totally be underwhelming because
you're not going to win the
Carolina.
Right.
Yeah.
No, they want one of the biggest 10 names in the sport.
Right.
You know who would be an interesting one? He cooled off this year, but it would be interesting. I don't think he'd do it because he turned out Kentucky. But now with Scott Drew, now go to Carolina in 2 seconds because, again, he's looking at Baylor.
Would
and the
Carolina
money
ask Scott Drew? I don't think Carolina would ask Scott Drew.
I don't either.
Yeah.
The timing, I agree with you. I'm just saying, like a year earlier, Scott Drew was super hot, right? Like he's cooled off a little bit.
Let me. What's the issue with Nate Oates? Like, what is it? The off the court stuff that we're just, and I get it. That's a real thing. But my God,
Carolina's
5 out of the last 6 years has gone to 16 in Alabama.
I know, but Carolina is not Memphis, John. It's not Memphis.
It doesn't have to be Memphis. Is it? I mean, is it? He's at Alabama, and I could see him with a blazer, a baby blue blazer.
Yeah, but it's SEC. It's different. It's a wine and cheese kind of crowd at Carolina. They're a little uppity. Like, yeah, I don't see it. I don't think it's the fit. I think the other guy, to me, it's Byington, who's got a fairly significant buyout too. Again, all these guys are pretty good buyouts. The one who has a lower buyout.
Everyone's got a buyout. If you're Carolina, you could pay the buyout.
You can.
You're Carolina.
But you're paying Belichick. You got to buy him out. You're going to have to buy him out next year. You're paying him $10 million a year. You're talking about a new arena.
Wow,
you're talking about building next year. You're talking about building a new arena. So I'm just saying, like, yes, obviously you want basketball to be great. If there's a guy that you're saying we love, we'd pay the buyout for. Yes, if there's one guy that would take it, and even if it's Todd Golden at $12 million, you could pay it. The one for me that is cost effective and a hell of a coach is TJ Otzelberger. And that's the one. And watch him today. You tell me Carolina's not watching the games today and saying this dude without his best player, arguably, just beat the brakes off of Kentucky in the second half. Yeah. And he does it the right way. His culture is incredible. He can coach. He can evaluate. He can develop and give him a good amount of money. And I think he'd do it. Like, I know he didn't want Indiana, but like, I think Carolina's one of those jobs you can't not take if they call you. You can't.
Yeah, I wonder if like, you got to be able to have the personality, and you know him better than me, Goodman, but you got to be able to have the personality. You got to shake some hands and kiss some babies. And
he'd do all that. I've seen him do it. He can.
I don't know him as well as you know him. Here's my question. Yeah. Here's the biggest issue, and this might be the single biggest issue with hiring TJ Otzelberger, which is more than the fishbowl, more than any of that other stuff. We know that there was an issue with the weight room with Seth Trimble. Is he going to be okay with a weight room that's not perfect? Because, my man's got to get his bicep curls in. He's got to get the tricep extensions done.
He'll redo the whole weight room. He would redo the entire weight room, I think.
I don't think there was
more
an
things I
issue
want
with
to
the
hit.
weight room. I think it was just it was a freak accident, as Goodman.
Yeah.
Goodman was trying to spot Seth Trimble, and I think he dropped the bar on him.
Imagine Goodman trying to spot TJ Otzelberger as he's done at 245.
I would go down so hard. I mean, it'd be over.
No,
I'd be on the floor.
You know what would happen if you were trying to spot TJ and he got stuck? You'd say, "Nope, you got to give me the scoop. What's Joshua Jefferson's injury? I'm not lifting until you tell me what the injury is. You got to give me the scoop, TJ."
You would do that too. You would 100% do that.
This
All right, let's move on. A couple more things.
This motherfucker. I saved him when he almost killed himself on a bench, and he's not going to give me the scoop.
All right, can we hit on a couple more things quickly?
Yes.
Before we get out of here. All right, let's hit on Jared Calhoun losing today at Utah State, and I would expect this to happen fairly quickly at Cincinnati, where he went to school. I think that's a poorly kept secret that he is the front runner there. And again, I would expect that could happen as soon as Monday. What else?
Love that one. By the way. I think that's
Boston
a great hire.
College names. Yeah, I think he'll be good there. Boston College names: Luke Murray, John Becker, Eric Conkle, I believe, are the three people that I've been told they're probably in the lead there.
Coach.
They're doing some in-person interviews this week. Say that again.
The Tulsa coach, Eric Conkle.
Yeah, Blake James, the BCAD, was with Conkle at Miami when Conkle was an assistant coach. So that's the connection there. There was one more I wanted to hit. Oh, Randy Bennett, St. Mary's. Randy grew up in Mesa, Arizona, right outside of Phoenix, right near Tempe. And they obviously want to try to get Randy Bennett at Arizona State. That's why they haven't done anything yet. Right. I mean, obviously,
right.
Wait. Randy Bennett lost 2 days ago. So we'll see what the level of interest is there. I think there's been some interest from him on Arizona State for years. For years and years, I've heard this. 63 years old, Gonzaga is leaving the West Coast Conference. Probably the perfect time for Randy Bennett. Take a shot, right? Like, why not if you're Randy Bennett at this stage? Go back home and see if you can make that Arizona State program, really relevant for a few years in a great league.
And I don't think it helps that Gonzaga's leaving that league. That league is just becoming a wasteland.
It's going to be
so
tough.
it makes his job at St. Mary's more difficult. Nobody wants to be the biggest fish in a one-bid league. Life is really hard.
Yep.
You need opportunities ultimately. So
yeah,
I think it
one more.
is.
Let me go one more. Butler. The name I hear is John Gross at Akron, who was briefly a Butler assistant, obviously close with Thad Matta, coached with him as assistant at Ohio State for years too, and has done an incredible job at Akron. Was kind of overshadowed this year by his half-brother, Travis Steele, with what he did. But Gross has gone to 3 straight NCAA tournaments, I think 4 in the last 6 years. And he's in the mix there, as is Ronald Norred. Brad Stevens is point guard for those 2 teams that went to the national title game back-to-back. He's been in the NBA for a while. I think those are probably your favorites for Butler. And then I think that's it. Those are the main ones. There's not that many big jobs that open this year. Carolina, if it opens, that'll be the one.
Yep, and that'll kind of maybe restart the dominoes a little bit, but we'll see. We'll see then when that comes down. You guys know the drill by now. Keep it locked here on Field of 68 all tournament long. We got coaching carousel. As soon as the tournament is over, we're going to be doing portal shows, interviews. You guys know that nobody's doing it like Field of 68, so keep it locked here on the network. As always, we'll be back tomorrow later today now with Field of 68 After Dark. So for Jeff Goodman, for Rob Doster, I'm John Martin. Have a great night.